Welcome to the Scream, my Scream movie review, and just flat out, I'm just gonna say that it was a good movie. I think it kept true to what Scream is, being a satire of horror. You'd think that eventually, as Scream goes on and on, satire becomes more of a satire, and you just keep dragging it on. But I think they executed it pretty well. Uh, and one of the things that I always like about Scream is that the people in the movie know that horror movies exist and there's rules to learn in order to live to the end, in which they do point out each and every rule, and they even point out who the killers are really from the beginning, which is kind of funny to me. But I think the thing is that most of they kept true to who they are in making the Scream movies, and since Wes Craven died not too long ago, but a decent time ago, I don't remember when. I'm pretty sure one of the short nods to him was one of the main characters actually being named Wes, uh, and then the other one of the main characters' sister, their last name was Carpenter, which may or may not have been a nod to John Carpenter, but you know, it's just me spitballing here. And they do along go well. Well, they do go along with the fact that more horror movies exist and more recent ones, that being the new Halloween. You can't have a Halloween be successful without Jamie Lee Curtis and Jason Voorhees and so on. But I think the beauty of Scream is more or less the simplicity of the fact that these are just people under the mask, not like Michael Myers, like or Jason, where they're almost a supernatural force that's compelling them and making them kill. Jason, not necessarily, he's just Jason, but with Michael Myers, he's not so human anymore. But with Ghostface, really, it's just people under a mask that can get hurt and that do, but it's how they decide to use that against others. And obviously you know do you like scary movies, which uh was a good reference back to the first movie. I mean, they all have the you like scary movies thing, but more the dialogue and the setting of the beginning of the movie, where it really is just like a callback to Drew Barrymore in the first movie of Scream, where her White House, she was alone. And they make references to the first movie a lot too, because uh in these Scream movies there are the, I'm just gonna call them a parody movie called Stab, but in the Scream universe, Stab is a real movie. And really, people just want something good, and they're tired of waiting for it. So, which is the motive for these new killers to start killing? Is because the last Stab movie sucked, and they wanted to make their own movie. So they're having a movie made about them by killing all these people. And having the legacy characters come back is really what drives people to want to see this movie, and increases the moral, gain from the heroes and whatnot for saving the day. Which it was sad to see Dewey die, because honestly, he is one of my favorite characters. Sydney and Gale coming back, I mean, you can definitely tell all of them have aged, but Dewey, as run down as his character looked, he still doesn't look like he's aged way too much. But it's Dewey. But I think I'd give this movie a good 9 out of 10 as well. Uh, Mainly for the fact that it's Scream. It stays true to what it is. They brought in new aspects of Scream with more technology based, like how he could turn on and off the voice changer, like through a red button. Really, uh, how the main character first gets attacked by trying to lock her doors from her phone, and how Scream is able to unlock them and lock them, lock them, and unlock them and unlock them. You know, it's really showing the advancement through time, and how, like, Child's Play, the more recent movie of Child's Play, they were going more into a technical aspect of how Chucky would do things in this day and age, and how technology is so much further than it was in the 90s, and just the amount of things that you can do is really different to what you could have done back then. I think the shooting of the scenes really went well as well. I think it really suited the horror aspect of things, in which there were a few times in the movie where I was like, okay, I'm ready for this to happen, but I don't think it will. And sometimes it didn't, but sometimes it did, which I actually kind of like, because it's like I'm not sure if I know what's going to happen. There's a lot of times in movies where you're able to use your intuition and predict what might happen, and sometimes it comes true. And in this case, it's not always the case, because they decide to change it up on you, and you're kind of ready for this character to get attacked, but they don't until you're finally like, okay, well, they're not going to do it, and then they end up doing it. Which again is just, to me, one of the more beautiful things about Scream. I think as well, having another late sequel. I mean, this one isn't too late because there was a Scream made in a little past 2010, so I wouldn't consider it a late sequel, but it is a later sequel nonetheless. Which I think they didn't, bog it down with the fact that you had to see the older movies, and of course, that is a big part of it with Sidney Gale and Dewey, but I think you could very easily just jump into this new Scream, and like how they say in the movie, I can't remember too well, but she said something like a remoot or something like that. Sorry if I'm really wrong about that, but it's essentially where it's not a reboot, but it has the same purpose, but it's also not a remake, because you're continuing the story even if the story wasn't good, but you're still bringing back the legacy characters in which people really want to see the movie for, as well as bringing in a new cast of people that can also do the same thing and grow, which I thought was another beautiful thing about the movie. And I'm really glad they went about this the way they did. And, I think the movie was good overall. I don't have too much else to say, but uh, thank you for coming to watch. If you did, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.